Hey everyone, it's David Sirota. So a quick follow-up on the Harvey Weinstein story and the Trump story, the story about why they were not prosecuted by the Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus Vance Jr. These stories, as we previously reported, a lot of questions about campaign cash flowing to Cyrus Vance from lawyers and others connected to these cases. In the Weinstein case, Cyrus Vance's office decided not to prosecute Harvey Weinstein on allegations of sexual assault, and Weinstein's lawyer, longtime lawyer, who was not his lawyer in the criminal case, but Weinstein's longtime lawyer had given Cy Vance $10,000 after Vance decided not to prosecute Weinstein. That was $10,000 that was only a piece of the campaign money that came to Vance from that lawyer's law firm over his career. Same thing in the Trump case. The ProPublica, WNYC, and the New Yorker broke that story about how Vance's office had been investigating whether to prosecute the Trump children over allegations that they misled investors. The Manhattan DA chose not to, and then what came out was that Trump's lawyer, Mark Kasowitz, had given the Manhattan District Attorney a $25,000 contribution. Vance returned it, but then Kasowitz gave him more money after Vance decided not to prosecute that. Okay, so all of that has raised these questions about, could the Manhattan DA be held accountable? Well, up until now, the Manhattan DA has been running for re-election unopposed. There's now a write-in candidate who recently got into the race, but for the most part, Vance has been able to run unopposed. So there's all these questions about, well, all this news is coming out, can Cy Vance be held accountable? Well, the answer is yes. In the New York Constitution, it empowers the governor to remove a district attorney, almost for any reason. In New York, the governor is a very powerful governor under the state constitution, and what it means is that Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo, who many believe is thinking about running for president in 2020, and who's cast himself, by the way, as a big opponent of Trump and a defender of women's rights, he has the power right now to remove the Manhattan DA if he chose to do so. But there's an issue there. Not only does he share a political party with the current Manhattan DA, both of them are Democrats, but they share many of the same key donors that have been at the center of the Weinstein and Trump controversy. So, in other words, the same donors who are at the center of the scandal about why did the DA not prosecute these potential defendants, many of those same donors are big donors to Cuomo, who has the power to remove the district attorney. And let me give you some examples here. I mentioned Harvey Weinstein's longtime lawyer had given money to the Manhattan district attorney. Well, that lawyer, David Boies, has also given $75,000 to Andrew Cuomo. Here's another one. President Trump's longtime lawyer, Mark Kasowitz, who had given Vance $32,000 after Vance decided not to prosecute the Trumps. He has given money, $35,000, to Cuomo, according to state campaign finance records. Those are just two examples. So what you see here is that the New York political class is a very tightly knit group. It's a relatively small group. There are a lot of overlapping relationships that complicate whether the powers, in this case, that the governor could use will actually be used. So the public is sitting there seeing all this news about the Manhattan DA getting campaign donations from people linked to cases before his office, cases that he chose not to pursue. And the public is saying the guy's running unopposed. Well, New York has a safety valve in that situation where it empowers the governor to actually take action. But in this situation, you've got the governor who also has ties into the same donors at the center of the controversy. So will Cuomo take action? I mean, as I said, he's portrayed himself as a big, tough opponent of Trump, and he's portrayed himself as a defender of women's rights. Will he take action to remove this district attorney after all of these questions have been raised? Well, that's a big question. But again, at the heart of that question, at least in potentially answering that question, are some of the very same donors at the center of these scandals.